Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to take a look at my top pickups for the year. Now, when you say top pickups, like there's so many ways that I could approach this. There's each piece that I've picked up for a reason. Picked up because I loved it in some way. Otherwise, I wouldn't pick it up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a top 10 pickups, and I'm going to separate it into top 5 unpublished pieces and then top 5 published pieces. And just as a fun way to revisit some of the pieces that I've picked up through the year. And to kick it off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 2 honorable mentions, and it's kind of, I don't know. I'll explain it in a second. So first up, so the 2 honorable mentions that I have are both covers, and I'm doing this because the top 5 published pieces I have are all interior pages. Because when it boils down to it, covers are fun. I love owning covers. They're cool. What I love most about collecting original art is the sequential storytelling aspects of comic art. The pages, the way that a page flows, the balance of a splashy image with some storytelling panels. So that's like my ideal published page. But anyway, so yeah, we're gonna start with these 2 honorable mentions, and then we'll go into unpublished and then published. So first off is a recent pickup that I unboxed recently. It's the Riley Rossmo cover for Duke number 2. Now this is one that I talked about it recently. The video is there. It's just a great, striking image of Destro. I love the techniques used in this piece. You get the reflection of the twins in his mask. It's just a really strong cover. And what's also cool about this is the picking up this Destro cover. In a way, it makes another pickup that I had even sweeter, which is the Andre Bresson cover A to Destro number 2. So to have the cover A and the cover B, this is kind of a cheat because it's the cover B, but I like this one because it completed the pair of having the A and the B cover. So yeah, I don't know. So that's really cool. Happy to have that. And there's going to be more Energon Universe stuff in this list, as anyone can probably guess. So I'm just gonna not bury the lead and say, yeah, more of that's coming in the published section. So all right. So the second honorable mention that I have is another one of my favorite kind of properties is Planet of the Apes, and I was able to pick up a cover earlier this year from Scotty Young. This is the cover to Beware the Planet of the Apes number 1. They did a kind of a relaunch of the Apes books at Marvel within the past couple of years, and then they released a miniseries that kind of was a prequel to the original movie. And this was from that series. It was a cover 1, and it was one that I talked about it when I unboxed this piece of art, that I wanted this piece before I even saw this piece. I just knew. I saw there was a Scotty Young variant listed as one of the variant covers, and I just immediately emailed Megan, who handles Scotty's art sales, and I said that's going to be one that I'm going to be interested in. So I just any kind of heads up of when it's going to be available, I would greatly appreciate that. So thankfully it worked out, and I was able to pick it up. And again, Planet of the Apes is not something that sets the original art market on fire. Like it's not like it's kind of a niche property, but to have this kind of comical take of having the apes there fearing Taylor, like straight up this talking man, it captures what Scotty Young does so well. And yeah, I love this piece. So was thrilled to get this one into the collection, which I'm thrilled to get any piece that I own into the collection because, like I said, for whatever it is, there's a reason why I love the piece. So anyway, all right. So now we're going to move into the unpublished pieces that I picked up, the top 5 of the unpublished pieces that I picked up. And the first one is a from an artist that I discovered through OAX. It was an OAX attendee, set up a piece prior to the show. This is this piece that I set up prior to the show, and then I set up a piece with this artist at the show because I love this piece so much. And it's Maxi Dallo. It's the Gunslinger Spawn piece. Now Maxi does. He's he's kind of known for within the hobby. He does these, kind of slice of life, kind of casual setting pieces. Peter and MJ on a date, Rogue and Gambit. Just those kind of sweet, tender moments with that are not typically what you would see on a commission, which is usually action heavy or pinup or whatever it is. It's just these kind of snapshot in these characters' lives. And so I I was on my gunslinger spawn kick, and I said, hey. I would love if you did a gunslinger spawn in an Old West saloon. And what he came up with was this. I love that he added that barkeep in there, who's kind of like, what the heck just happened? So clearly, Gunslinger is in the saloon. He's got his drink, and he just got finished handling some business there. So this is a piece that really really captures what what attracted me to Maxi Dallo, and then what has continued to impress me through his other work. So the other piece that I set up at the show was a Spider-Man. I gave him a prompt that I just said, "Hey, can you do Spider-Man buying a hot dog?" And so yeah, I don't do a lot of Spider-Man pieces, but just the fact that I loved all of those slice of life pieces that I had seen so far up to that point. Just the idea of Spider-Man buying a hot dog. So, yeah, that piece came out great, too. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Maxi's going to be at OAX again in January, and I'm going to be commissioning him again because I love what he does. So, all right, next up would be, again, this was not too long ago. I picked this up at Baltimore Comic Con earlier in the fall, and it's another one of my favorite properties, Frankenstein. So this is Frankenstein by Jesse Lonergan, and the prompt that I gave him was, Frankenstein with because Jesse has these really amazing panel layouts in his published work. I requested something that was representative of Frankenstein, Frankenstein's creature, the monster. Obviously, I know the difference, but encapsulate the character of the creature as well as elements pertaining to his creation. And that's where Jesse kind of came up with this layout. And some of these are prompts that I gave him. I just said, hey, some elements like the castle or the body parts or whatever you can think of, and he got it all in there. Like all the things that I kind of said, like if you did this or that would be cool. And not expecting all of it, and he got all of it in there, and that's amazing. And it's a great looking piece. I love that he's both in and out of the panels. Yeah, this is one that obviously it's not framed or anything yet, but it's one that I revisit in the portfolio often because I just kind of stare at it and just love the layered look with the that duotone dual shade paper or whatever, kind of like Zipatone stuff. I love what he does for sure. So, and again, sorry, I'm like talking about it, and then I just pause. I'm just like, wow, this is pretty sweet. All right, so now next up, I'm going to do another unpublished piece, and again, it's kind of a cheat. Because this piece led to another piece, and also kind of a friendship that I've made in the hobby. And this is a piece that I picked up at OAX in January. I prearranged the purchase of it before that, but actually got it into my hands earlier this year. And it's a Gunslinger Spawn piece, another Gunslinger Spawn piece, but it's by John Moore. And this was from when McFarlane did his cover challenge thing where people would, artists would submit ideas, and the one challenge was for a Gunslinger Spawn piece, and this was one that I wasn't too familiar with John's work. I knew the name just from having seen his name on Jiggy's Next Comic Art shows on CAF Live and stuff like that, but but this was a piece that in seeing all of the cover submissions on Instagram, I saw this one and I was like, holy crap, that one is amazing. I can't believe that it didn't get picked as one of the chosen published covers. But I mean, whatever, I don't care. I still, when it became available, I jumped at the chance to own it. And I've since, I when I did my OAX haul recap video, I talked about this piece and how much I love at the show. I picked up some other Planet of the Apes pieces, so I referenced this piece, mentioned Planet of the Apes that I also love, and John actually saw that video, and he he reached out and he said I was inspired by what you were talking about with the Planet of the Apes, and then he created this piece. And I, of course, bought that one too. He created it, and he said, "Hey, there's no pressure. It's just you talking about Planet of the Apes kind of inspired me." And I was like, "Oh, I should do an Apes piece." He said, "No pressure to buy it." And I said, "Well, of course, I want to buy it." And anyway, so we've kind of we email back and forth and communicate and talk, and it's been really cool. And this represents to me something that I'm really. As I get more into the hobby, as I make more connections in the hobby, the conversations that are born out of those meetings, and that's like been a beautiful part of it. I would not have expected this to happen, but I love that it has. So the fact that I saw that Gunslinger Spawn piece, kind of fell in love with that, picked it up, and then that kind of turned into a friendship with John. So I'm very, very happy, very lucky, and very fortunate to have these pieces, and I enjoy the laughs that I share with John, because he's got a great sense of humor. So yeah. Sorry. Was thinking of something we were talking about just earlier today. So anyway, all right. So next up, now this is another piece that really means so much to me. And earlier this year, we lost Ramona Fradon, and that was she was wonderful. Like I love her work. The more I've kind of learned about her character, just one heck of a character. So all the stories that I've heard over the years in buying art from through her rep Scott Kress, this piece was something that was. Let me just show it to you, and then I'll talk about it. It's the Superman piece that she did. Now, this is a piece. It's a concept that I talked about this in the unboxing video, but it's a concept that I had commissioned Ramona to do years ago, maybe like three or 4 years ago. I'm not exactly sure, but it was a while ago. And she created a piece, and she kind of delivered it back to Scott and said, "Hey, I was having trouble with the prompt that was the request. So I kind of went in a little different direction, and so that I was delivered that piece. I loved that piece, but I never got to see the Superman with bullets bouncing off of his chest in a back alley piece that I originally requested, and which was fine. I loved the Superman piece that was delivered to me, but when she passed away, Scott was in helping Ramona's daughter kind of clear out the studio and going through if there's any pieces there, and he found this piece, and this is the piece that she did, and she decided it was not worthy enough to deliver to whoever had commissioned it, and both Scott and I were like, why? How is this not how is this not something that she thought could be delivered? And again, it speaks to artists are their harshest critics, and I'm surprised, but I'm also not surprised. Whatever it was, we kind of determined that we think it was that she was having problems with the bricks and laying the bricks in there with the bullet holes and all this stuff, because you can see the bullet holes in the background there, and we think that it was going to be just the bricks she was having issues with, I guess, whatever that was, and she just kind of decided to bail. But it looks like a fully complete piece. Like, it's not this. If she delivered this to me, said nothing, I would have been thrilled and happy with it, which I'm happy with it now. So to be able to have this piece be commissioned, have it be a piece that kind of always felt like the one that kind of got away, because this I just love this concept of Superman in a back alley with the bullets bouncing off his chest. And then to have it kind of surface after, it was like a roller coaster of emotions, after her passing, just because I just appreciate her work so much, and she was 96, 97, I forget now. but like it wasn't necessarily a surprise that her passing happened, but it just was still, I wasn't ready for it. So when it happened, obviously was very sad, and then to have this piece kind of show up soon after that, it just was such a joyous reminder of what I love about her work, and yeah, it really kind of helped in that kind of um, you know uh, the acceptance part of her passing, and yeah, so this holds a special place in my heart, and a special place in the collection. So yeah, and then the last unpublished piece that I'll show is another OAX pickup from one of my all-time favorites, Dan Jurgens, and inks by Brett Breeding. Now, this is a piece that I've talked about a couple of times, and actually had a chance to talk to Dan about this piece. And I had teased this earlier in the year, talking about I should share that interview. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna splice that in, and I'm gonna show you the couple minutes that I had with Dan at Baltimore Comic Con earlier this year. And a huge thanks to fellow collector Tom McDonald. It was his idea to kind of have some of us try to talk to creators at the show about different topics, and he asked if there's anybody that I was seeing at the show, and I said, yeah, I'm actually going to see Dan, and he had done this piece for me at OAX, so yeah, I was able to sit down with Dan and talk about this piece. So let's have a look at that. Hello, fellow CAF collectors. I'm here in Baltimore Comic Con with one of my favorite creators of all time, Dan Jurgens, artist, writer on almost everything. I wanted to take a minute to talk to Dan about a commission that I had him do at OAX in January. And I know I have a history with this piece, but I just wanted to take the opportunity to see like what your take on this layout was and what it was like to revisit it.
Okay, so we should first explain what the layout was for, which was I had done a number of different cover sketches for Superman Omnibus, Death of Superman Omnibus. And in this case, I took an approach with the 4 replacement Superman, with Superman all silhouetted in black to symbolize the idea of death and him being gone and everything, yet still get that silhouette and that familiar S-shield on the cover. And that was the approach to this particular cover idea. DC chose to go in a different direction, which is absolutely fine. Whenever I do, 4, 5, or 6 different cover designs, I always know only one is going to survive, although sometimes 2 will, and we'll do them in back-to-back issues or whatever. But in this case, we ended up printing all the different ideas, I think, as part of a back feature or something like that.
One of the books, I think it was.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. And Carl saw this one, which was just a kind of a rough ink layout, and you take it from there.
Yeah, so it's a layout that I really loved. And when you talk about getting a commission or a piece done, I like to have things that have a history or maybe would have fit into a story at a time. But this definitely, it already had a history. Dan had done the layout. And when we actually talked about revisiting it, you had said, did I want the Superman to be shadowed out like he is here? And I said, absolutely. That is a big part of what makes this Death and Return piece work, and also the fact that it's the replacement's kind of operating in his shadow, so it just thematically worked. And then actually you added in the tattered cape flag, which is a nice touch.
Oh, thanks. And that's exactly it. As I was drawing it up, it was the one thing that occurred to me that I should have added in the first place. But so I said, okay, now I can make up for that. And honestly, that's what often happens. Is I will have the cover idea in terms of the sketch or whatever, but as I finalize it. And end up adding something like that or taking something away that is just too obtrusive. In this case, it fit just fine and helped to add to that idea of Superman being gone, and here these guys are. I also want to say that in terms of getting this done as a commission, I penciled it, but Brett Breeding inked
Absolutely.
It. Brett did a brilliant job on the inks on this. So now, I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
That was something we talked about as well when we were at the show. That's why it's signed in pencil, because I saw the pencils and I immediately fell in love with them. Yep. Instinctively, I wanted to have Brett ink it, but then I was debating, do I preserve the pencils? But I have a scan, and then the answer was the correct answer, to have Brett treat this. Finish it off properly. Just one last thing. So, and I think of this is right in my ripe, I was 12, 13, 14. This just spoke to me, captured my imagination. Now, just real quickly, I know you've been asked this probably before, but
That time was wild for you and busy and crazy. But what's the one thing that kind of sticks out when you think about that era of?
Really, it is the overall sense of the craziness, just because it was every day something different happened, and this was really very much pre-internet. And almost every single day there was a phone call, and it started out with, "You won't believe this, but," and it would be such and such is licensing this for a product, and we have to do trading cards, or this, or this happened, and because of that, we have this problem. I mean, it was that way all the time, and it was often getting more Death of Superman related product out there some way, somehow, and really, because that's what sticks with me, because that will never happen again. There won't ever be anything like that.
Dan, thank you so much for doing this. I
Awesome.
hope you have a great show. So.
Glad you like it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Carl.
Take care.
Yep.
So to have that experience with Dan and to be able to sit down with him and talk to him, that's something that if you told 13-year-old me would have blown my freaking mind. And so that's another really cool thing about the hobby. I've emailed Dan back and forth a couple times, talking about commissions, talking about other things, and to kind of have that personal connection with one of my all-time favorites. Come on. That's amazing. So just another one of the things that being in this hobby gives back to us. We spend a lot of time spending money on stuff, but like that's an intangible thing that comes out of it. Sometimes is those relationships that are fostered with people that I've only had known through their work. So. Yeah, really cool. And I absolutely love this piece. This is one of my favorite pieces in my collection, just because I think it's a perfect layout for a perfect encapsulation of this story, the death and return of Superman. It represents everything about that story so well. It doesn't have Doomsday on it, but like that, that doesn't matter. It's just a piece that I absolutely love so much, and I could stare at it more while while I'm talking about it. I could just stop and just get lost in it because it's just that good. So, all right. Now, moving on to published pieces, and it's no secret. Most of what I've purchased when it comes to published work is Energon Universe stuff this year. That's kind of been it's been where my focus has been this year, and we're kicking it off with one of the first Energon pieces that I bought this year, and it's a page from Duke #1, and it's by Tom Riley, another one of my favorites, and it's it recaps it's a flashback retelling of the events of Transformers #2, where Starscream and Duke have their encounter. Starscream kills Duke's co-pilot. And it's a scene that's it was drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson in Transformers #2, and it was a couple pages of really amazing Daniel Warren Johnson action. And what I love about this page is that Tom, it speaks so much to Tom's ability to tell a story and use as much of the space creatively on the page that he possibly can. To condense all of that action down onto this beautifully laid out panel page. I as soon as I saw this in the comic, I was like, I need that. I need that page because it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. It features multiple uses of Tom's he likes to use reflective surfaces to help tell the story. You see the second panel, it's the reverse image of the kind of within the Energon universe, the kind of infamous scene of Starscream splat, kind of killing his co-pilot. Now to have that reversed in the visor, that's really creative. It's a great way to see, it's from Duke's point of view. You see like what he's looking at, and then you get another reflection down here of Duke shooting he shoots a flare into the face of Starscream, so you get to see that in his visor. You see Starscream kind of his reaction to getting shot in the face. I just absolutely love this page. wonderful way to condense down that action, and you still have space for two kind of really splashy type images. You get the silhouette of the pilot in the ejector seat. Yeah, it's wonderful. Love this page. Love it. All right. So next up we have more Transformers. There's multiple pieces of Transformers art in this, but this is the only one done by Daniel Warren Johnson. Now this is from Transformers number 3, page 2. This is this was a page that I definitely targeted because it I didn't know what the prices were going to be on some of the Transformers art. I tried on some pages from Transformers 1, missed out on those because the demand for those were through the roof. And then the second issue sold complete. And then when the third issue came along, I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna try again. So the idea was like, well, let me try to find a page that's probably not gonna be one of the higher end pages. I mean, I knew it wasn't gonna be one of the higher end pages of the issue, but it was a great representative page that features things that I really love about Daniel Warren Johnson's work. And it's the sound effects written on the page, kind of worked into they are part of the art. You get some just wonderful speed line. You get some great action, dynamic. Sparky swinging around there, shooting his gun. And then you get Laserbeak whipping around his neck as he tosses Sparky away. You get the gun kind of flying there, and then that really amazing page of Carly kind of backing up there as this dominant image of Laserbeak's head kind of comes at her. And also this is a cool scene because it sets up the what she's looking at there in the last panel is Cliff Jumper kind of coming through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man to kind of save the day. And this is just a great page. I was happy to be able to get this one. And again, I could say it every time I look at a page. I was like, oh, I should just, every time I'm done kind of talking about the page, I just stare at it some more. So gotta move on. And so next up is kind of in a way it's a complimentary page to the one I just showed. And but not. So whatever, I just showed. It's Jorge Corona from Transformers number 7. Now this is an excellent image of Ultra Magnus, one of my favorite Transformers characters. And this was from his first issue on the series, and it was an image I didn't expect to see Ultra Magnus kind of show up so soon in issue 7. And then there it was, and it's this flashback of Ultra Magnus in full, ass kicking city commander mode, rescuing RC, a young RC. And it's the setup in the timeline of the main part of the story is it's RC telling Carly about her mentor, Ultra Magnus. And what I like about this is it in the story of Carly, you see that from the Daniel Warren Johnson pages we just looked at. You see Carly as a victim. You see she's fearful. She's reacting to Laserbeak coming at her, and she's pretty much defenseless. And then what you see as the story goes on is Carly kind of hardens to the idea that no, I'm gonna fight back because I'm sick of this, and I'm gonna do what I can to fight back. And so you see that here she starts to show interest in that. That's why she's doing some target practice, shooting the gun here on the bottom panel. So yeah, I love that kind of that connection between the two pages that I have here. And just from a technique standpoint, I just absolutely love all of that wild, crazy crazy stuff that's going on in the top there. The gun blast, the smoke, all of the details of the destruction there on Cybertron. And I really love this shadow of that RC is casting. I mean, that's just beautiful. It's a great it's a great way to show the scale. You see that shadow casting, and then you see, RC's close up in the front there, but then you see Carly there in the background, and the use of the shadow to show the scale between RC and Carly. So it's just a really beautifully laid out page that was the first Jorge Corona page that I purchased, and it was most certainly not the last. So, all right. So next up, this is another one of my favorite artists, and I was thrilled to be able to pick this one up this year. It's artist is Greg Capullo, inker is Jonathan Glapion, and it's from the Death Metal series. It's Superboy Prime. People love him, people hate him. I happen to love him. I think he's a really interesting character. I think when done right, he's a very, very interesting character. I think in true fashion, and any interesting villain is the villain of the story thinks that they're the hero, and that's very much the case when it comes to Superboy Prime. He's trying to have heroes act like heroes, and his motivation is to get back to a time where heroes act like heroes, and his character represents a great commentary on the modern comics. Then it kind of went into fan reaction of those modern comics, and Superboy Prime kind of represented the frustration of the readers, and I just thought it was a really intelligently created character, and it was an intelligent kind of story arc for the character. When he became a villain, I feel like the villainous turn made sense. Many people will probably disagree, but there are also plenty like me that agree. I think it was a good, an interesting. I'll say that. I'll say an interesting story arc for that character, and I really love the look of him in the Anti-Monitor armor. So. Yeah, this is the Infinite Crisis version of Superboy Prime as seen in the Death Metal events, because they kind of visit past Crisis events. And so you see Wonder Woman here, who's visiting this version of Infinite Crisis. Superboy Prime, he's been in the story. He was kind of the Batman who laughs because he rewarded Superboy Prime's cooperation by giving him his own world where he could kind of create whatever he wants, and he created this kind of perfect where superheroes were superheroic. So yeah, I loved his inclusion in the story. I loved his arc in this story. I feel like it was the perfect way to kind of bring Superboy Prime back to his original intent, as seen back in the original Crisis on Infinite Earths. So if they do nothing else with Superboy Prime, I would be very, very happy. I know they're going to do something else with him, but in my head canon, this story represented the perfect end for Superboy Prime. So I love that I have this page that so powerfully represents the character. He's just there, kind of hovering in midair, but you can't deny the power that he is clearly possessing. So yeah. Really cool. Love this page. And I'm lucky to own multiple Greg Capullo pieces, and was thrilled to be able to add that one as well this year. So, all right. So probably, when you talk about a favorite piece of the year, that's hard to do because, while I feel like I've narrowed my scope of the collection, I still have varied interests. So it's hard to say, oh, I love this one the most because whatever that is, because I love all of them. However, this one probably represents my year the most because of how I kind of fell in love with this character. And again, it's Transformers, and I've talked about him numerous times, but it's my boy Beachcomber. I love this character. I love how he was introduced in the Transformers series. I love that he, in a comic all about war. I love that he represents the nonviolence pacifist path, and his logic in the story is flawed. It's not perfect, but he's not wrong in his approach either. So, and he represents what I find most interesting about the Transformers series is that these characters aren't one note. They're not. It's not a clear cut. This character's right, this character's wrong. Daniel Warren Johnson just brilliantly has written this story to let the reader take whatever he's presenting, all of these characters and their various points of view and how they are reacting to war, and he's not preaching that, you know, this is who this is who you should root for. This is who you think is right. It's just a very smart way to approach this topic of war. You know, it's explored through all these characters, and it's explored in such an interesting way, and it's all done through robots. I mean, it's just that's freaking impressive. So anyway, I love what Beachcomber brought to the story. I've collected multiple Beachcomber pages this year. I bought another one recently. So I just think he's a really, really interesting character. And it just so happens that this is also one of the personal favorite pages from the entire series thus far, because it's this epic moment from Transformers issue 12. It's the end of the second story arc, and this whole time Beachcomber has kind of been telling Spike, like, I'm not going to fight. I don't want to have anything to do with this. I'm kind of I don't want to be involved. And it's the pairing of Beachcomber and Spike that has become so interesting, because Spike wants to help, but he can't because he's paralyzed. And it's just. I love that the only reason Beachcomber is here is because of Spike. So, the only reason that Beachcomber is in this story is because Bumblebee is dead. So, that's not the only reason, but it just, again, I've talked about it before, but having Bumblebee out of the picture, it opens up the possibility of, another kind of Transformer character being used as the companion character to a human character. So you have Spike now with Beachcomber. It's just a really great, interesting pairing, and I love it. I love this page so much. I love just the techniques obviously are wonderful. I love that you've got Optimus Prime there, who's surprised to see Beachcomber. Beachcomber comes in, saves the day. It's just all around. It encapsulates so much about what I love about this series. What I love about Jorge Corona's art. And this one, as soon as I turned the page, when I saw this in the comic, I was like, this was the moment I was waiting for in the series for Beachcomber, because I knew, I didn't know. I really wanted to see a heroic moment from Beachcomber. And we got it. We got it here. Also, nonviolent. It's not he didn't go against his code, but he was still reliable in there in that moment to save the day. To save the day for Optimus Prime, who just got done making a sacrifice of his own. But yeah, it's just such an emotionally impactful page, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have this one in the collection. So yeah. All right, so there's a look at the kind of some of my favorite pieces of the year. I when I was narrowing this down, I had a hard time. There were some other pieces that, some other unpublished pieces that I really wanted to include, and because I'm gonna have some of those pieces shown while I'm talking about them. And I won't call them out by name or specifics. It's just anytime you do a best of list for whatever it is. In this case, it's comic art. I still love everything else that I picked up this year. I also sold off a lot of pieces this year, and I sold off pieces from artists that might be on a lot of people's Grail list. I sold off a Jim Lee page that I had. I sold off a Sean Gordon Murphy page that I had, and I still love those pieces. I love what I had. It was just a way that how do I want to say this? One, I think I found better homes for the pages that I had. There's the collector that I sold the Sean Gordon Murphy page to. It was a page with the young Bruce Wayne that he was talking about. Essentially, he wanted to learn how to fight. He wanted to kind of be like Zorro. And the collector that I sold it to sent me a picture recently and showed me some of the other pieces that he had in his collection that he was able to get. He got a couple original pieces from the some Zorro sketches from Sean Gordon Murphy's campaign, and he showed me a layout of the Bruce Wayne page, a Batman sketch, and these other two Zorro sketches. He said this is how I'm going to lay these out on my wall once I get them framed. And I was like, holy crap, that's amazing. And it's a clear indication that the page that I sold is now in a much better home. So I love that I had that page. I love that I was able to sell that page to buy some other art, and I love what that page is going to be now in that collection. So that's again the kind of some of the beauties of when you sell comic art. Now, some people I'm never selling anything, and that's fine. That's the way you want to collect, and I don't fault anybody for that. That's cool. But I think it's important to sometimes recognize that even just because you own a page, you might not be the best person to have that page. And I think that's clearly the case with that page that I sold to that collector. And some other things like I sold some Greg Capullo Spawn pages that I really, really, really enjoyed. I had 3 pages from Spawn issue 17, and it's funny how this works out too, because the pages that I sold one to a really big Spawn collector, his favorite character. Felt good to sell him that page, and then I sold the other 2 pages from that issue. I had offered them both to him pretty sure I offered both of those to him at the time, but the funds weren't there for him, and I was like, all right, well, I moved on and sold them to other people, and then through the comic art gods or whatever it is, he ended up with all 3 pages, and there was I sold one of the Spawn pages to another fellow collector, really, really nice guy in the hobby, and he then sold that page to the other collector, the Spawn collector, and he reached out to me and said, hey, I just want to let you know, I did end up selling that page to a big Spawn collector, but I just want to let you know I wasn't trying to flip it or anything like that. And I was like, 1, I sold it to you. You could do whatever you want with it. 2, thanks, man. So I just think that he didn't have to reach out and explain why he sold a piece that I sold him. But it's just, again, it's a point being that the more people you talk to in this hobby, the more connections that are made, and the more fun this hobby is. So, So I regret nothing, anything that I've sold this year, and I'm happy with how the collection is kind of shaping up. I'm not sure when it comes to you think about goals for 2025. I'm sure every collector says this every year, but I don't think I'm gonna go crazy again next year. I don't think. I think I'll stay focused on Energon universe stuff because I'm having a lot of fun with that. Maybe do some more commissions from some of my favorite artists that I've met, like John Moore, and I'm sure I'll do more Tom Riley art. So I feel like I just want to kind of focus on the artists that I love the most. And there's artists like Maxi Dallow that I discovered at OAX last year. We talked about Jesse Lonergan is one that I've been really, really enjoying his work. So I imagine I'll pick up more of his work in 2025. And I don't know, but right now that's what the goal is. And the fun thing about this hobby is you don't know what's around the corner, and that's exciting. So I don't know that I'll be doing a lot of vintage art anymore because I have pieces that I really enjoy from some of my favorite artists. The stories growing up, The Death and Return of Superman. Some of the commissions that I own from that story are some of my favorite pieces in the collection. So even though it's not published, it's not from the original story, the fact that I was able to reach out to those artists and have them create them for me, that's amazing. There's value in that it's like this. It's not this tangible thing. It's rooted in nostalgia, but it's an even closer connection to the artists themselves, and that's a really special thing. So anyway, again, I know I'm kind of talking and rambling a little bit here at the end, but the point that I wanted to kind of get across is there's many ways to enjoy this hobby, and there are many ways that this hobby is so rewarding. So, I don't know. That's all I have for now. Thank you so much if you're still watching now, huge thank you, because this has been a lot of fun. This year, I've really enjoyed sharing the art as I get it in. I've enjoyed the friendships made through people commenting throughout the hobby. I've made more connections, and I've been having a lot of fun. So thank you very much for watching this video. I really, really appreciate it. Have a happy and healthy the rest of 2024, what's left of it, and then here's to a very happy and healthy 2025 for everyone. So thank you very much, and I will see you soon.